Hello, what's up? Sir Howard here. Today, I want to talk about something very important, and this is in connection to our series sa libro ni John Maxwell on the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Today, we'll talk about the chapter on the law of the trade-off. Again, itong mga sasabihin ko dito comes from Maxwell's book, which I highly recommend you read, on the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Yung mga mahilig sa mga personal growth, I highly recommend you read this book. Very easy to understand, very practical. And today, i-share ko sa inyo yung sinasabi ni John Maxwell on the law of the trade-off. Actually, it's very simple. According to John Maxwell, the law of trade-offs refers to this one, this principle. You have to give up to grow up. Let's repeat. You have to give up to grow up. The main skill that John Maxwell is teaching in this chapter is the skill of trading off. Yan yung tinuturo niya, no? It's a skill na ang pangalan is to trade off. And to trade off means to give up something to gain another. Let's repeat. To give up something and to gain another. I like the contrasting words. Give up and then gain. Hindi pwedeng nag-give up ka lang nang wala kang napala. Nag-give up ka pero merong bumabalik sa'yo na gain, then that's what you mean when you do trade off. But let's be more specific. If I'm going to paraphrase the law of the trade off or what it means to trade off, it means this: if you want to grow up to your potential, you must be willing to give up something you value. Again, you notice the contrasting words. If you want to grow up, you need to give up. Kung tatagalogin ko yan, ang magandang paraphrase dyan, hindi lahat ng bagay sa mundo ay importante. We have to trade the things that are not important for the important. Again, that's what it means to trade off. You let go of the things that are not important and do the things more that are important. Kasi that's one of the structure of this life. Marami tayong mga bagay na nakikita. We have a lot of things that needs to be done, but not all these things need to be done. And that idea is very biblical, no? Na hindi lahat ng bagay sa mundo ay importante at kailangang ginagawa natin. For example, there are two biblical passages I remember when we talk about this. Matthew 6:19-21, words by Jesus, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In a parallel verse, this time, pupunta tayo sa 2 Corinthians 4:18. "So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." So these two passages, ang sinasabi lang sa atin is again, hindi lahat ng bagay sa mundo importante. That's a basic principle that we have to remember. Not everything that is getting our time, dapat lahat bibigyan natin yung time natin sa kanila. We have to choose which ones are worth our time and effort, and which ones are not worth our time and effort. And if we want to grow, according to John Maxwell, we need to learn again how to trade off. Itigil natin gawin yung mga bagay na hindi naman importante at gawin natin yung mga bagay na importante. Okay? Now, we are currently talking about trade-off in the conceptual level. Dinidefine ko pa lang kung ano yung trade-off, no? Pero let me demonstrate to you. Mas mahalaga to. How do you do trade-off? Because remember, trade-off is a skill, right? So, here's how you do trade-off. Truth number one about trade-off, no? There are things that need to take a backseat. Actually, this is the only truth, by the way. This is the only truth that I want you to remember. There are things that need to take a backseat. I want that word. backseat. Right? So meron daw tayo mga bagay na dapat ilalagay natin sa backseat. Anong ibig sabihin when the task or that something you place in the backseat? That means those things need to wait. We don't do it yet, and we don't prioritize those things. That's what it means when you say that you are placing something in the backseat. Opposite of backseat is front seat. So, ang ibig sabihin ng trade-off, kung meron kang ilalagay sa back seat, mga bagay na hindi mo muna gagawin, meron ka namang ililipat sa front seat, and these are the things that you will do first, that you will prioritize. Kaya nga siya front seat. Ilalagay mo siya dito sa number 1, yung iba back seat mo, yung mga bagay na ilalagay mo sa numbers 3 and hanggang sa dulo ng listahan. We need to have that skill in our lives, according to John Maxwell. Hindi pwedeng lahat ginagawa natin. We need to identify which things should be in the back seat and which things should be in the front seat. So parang ganito lang yan, no? Ilagay natin sa isang diagram para mas maintindihan ninyo, no? Take for instance, this is you. Ikaw to. And this is your goal. What you want to happen in your life. Notice, sa isang goal lang tao, lagi tayong merong mga things to do to make those goals happen. Lagi. Walang goal na maganda na walang requirement na dapat na mga gagawin mong mga bagay. There will always be things to do to make those goals happen. Okay? Now, the thing is, every day when we wake up in the morning, ang nangyayari, we are faced with certain things that we can choose to do. Ito, yung numbers 1 to 9. Yan yung laman ng ating mga calendars. Yan yung laman ng ating mga planners. Right? Ito yung mga bagay that, we think we need to do every day. But, again, when you apply the law of the trade-off, ang gagawin natin is we ask this question, what should I backseat? And what should I put into the front seat? Again, that's trade-off. Ano yung mga bagay na ilalagay ko sa back seat, mga bagay na mamaya ko na gagawin, at ano yung mga bagay na gagawin ko na ngayon kasi importante, yun yung if a front seat mo. You see? You need to have that skill. Kasi may mga tao kaya hindi nag-grow, they don't distinguish what should be in the front seat and the back seat. They just do the things that they feel like doing. And ang masama dyan, if that thing that they feel like doing does not lead to growth. Maraming ganyan eh. Inuuna mo yung mga bagay na hindi naman nagpapagrow sa'yo, you are compromising then your life success. So to avoid yourself from being like this, again, what do you need to do? You have to distinguish what should be in the front seat and what should be in the back seat. Okay, going back to this diagram, ano kaya yung mga bagay na nasa back seat at ano yung mga bagay na nasa front seat? Okay? So, those are two important questions if you're going to apply the law of the trade-off, back seat and front seat. Right? How would you know? That's a good question. What are the markers or the indication that something must be in the front seat and something must be in the back seat? Kinakailangan mag-undergo ka ng tinatawag nating task analysis. In task analysis, what we do here is we try to compare those things that we will do every day, yung mga bagay na nakasulat sa planner mo, sa cellphone mo. You are going to match these things to the goal or to the steps or to the things that you need to do to make your goal happen. Okay? Iko-compare mo yung mga bagay na sa tingin mo gagawin mo today. You compare that to the things that you need to do to make your goal happen. And the principle is you will only select the things here dito that are in line, that are connected to, that are related to these things that you need to do to make your goals happen. Kapag hindi related doon sa mga things to do to achieve the goal, then that takes the back seat. Kapag related, kapag connected, or exactly that's the thing that you need to do to achieve your goal, then you place those things in the front seat. Para mas malinaw, bigyan ko kayo ng mga halimbawa, no? Okay. For instance, your goal, let's just keep it generic. Hindi ko muna papangalanan kung ano yung goal na yan, but very generic. These are the things that you need to do to make that goal happen. You read a certain book, you finish a module, kinakailangan mo maging physically fit, you need to be a member of an organization to achieve that goal, and you need to learn a certain software to achieve that goal. Yan yung mga bagay na dapat mong gawin para mangyari yung goal na gusto mong mangyari. Now, pagising mo sa umaga, you look at your cell phone, and these things are the things that you need to do. Yan yung nakalagay sa calendar mo. Anong gagawin natin? We are going to do task analysis where we are going to compare these things that we will be doing today and these things that we need to do to make the goal happen. Right? So, i-compare mo yung bawat task kung alin dito sa mga task dito ang related dito sa mga steps, sa mga things that you need to do to make this goal happen. So, for instance, halimbawa, ginawa mo na yung task analysis, inisa-isa mo. Okay? Watching Netflix, and then, saan related yung watching Netflix dito? Is watching Netflix something that will move me to my goal? Is cleaning my house right now will lead me to achieve the goal that I see in the future? How about visiting a friend? Connected ba yung visiting a friend to any of these things that I need to do to make the goal happen? Yun yung task analysis. Now, if fast forward natin, let's say you already did task analysis. Now, here's the thing. Here's the result. Those words in red are the things that you need to place in the front seat. Diba? Kasi, anong common among all those words in red? These are the tasks that are very related, that are connected to these tasks that will make your long-term goal happen. Right? Inquire mo na magkano yung bayad sa org para maging member ka. Right? Bumili ka na nung book A na dapat mong basahin. Because remember, ito yan, no? Read book A. Pero bago mong ma-read yan, kailangan meron ka muna. So, bilhin mo na ngayon. Right? Or ito, yung learn software. Diba? Before you can learn software, you need to buy that software first. So, asikasuhin mo na ngayon yan. Okay? Download module. Again, saan nanggaling yan? Kasi dito sinasabi, kailangan may sasagutan kang module. Yan. You need to finish the module. Para ma-finish mo yung module, kinakailangan, syempre, i-download mo muna yung module. Download, then accomplish the module. Dito sabi, physically fit. Anong related dyan? Yung exercise. Right? So, I hope you get the point. All those words in red are the tasks that will move you forward towards your goal. While those words in black, ito na ngayon yung mga ilalagay mo sa backseat. These are the things that you are going to trade off. Much as you want to do these things. Gustong-gusto mong gawin yung mga yan kasi masaya, kasi masarap. But remember the law of trade-off, you delay these things. You wait hanggang magkaroon ka ng extra time, then you do those things in black. But for today, you prioritize those words in red because those words in red will move you forward to the goal that you want to achieve. Actually, related tong principle na to in another popular principle called the PARETO principle. Basically, ang sinasabi lang ng PARETO principle is hindi mo dapat gawin lahat in one day. There are many tasks that you think you need to do. Guess what? Ang sabi ng PARETO principle, don't do everything. In fact, among those things that you think you need to do for the day, you just choose the 20%. So let's say meron kang 10 gagawin today. Ang sinasabi ng PARETO principle, you should only prioritize the 2 tasks from that 10. Kasi 20% ng 10 is 2, right? So sa 10 tasks na yon, unahin mong gawin yung 2 doon. Pero meron yung meron yung criteria. Bakit mo una gagawin yung dalawang yon? Because those two things you're going to prioritize will bring you 80% of the result that you want to see. Okay? Most people, they do the reverse. Out of those 10 tasks, they will do the 8 tasks. While those 8 tasks na gagawin nila will only move them 20% to the goal that they want to happen. So it's not in the quantity of the tasks that you do, it's more on whether the task that you're going to do will move you forward to the life that you want to have, to the goals that you want to achieve in the future. Okay? That's a very important lesson. Hindi dapat lahat ng task ginagawa natin. We only select those tasks that will move us closer to the long-term goal that we want to achieve. Okay? Para mas ma-emphasize pa yung law of trade-off, let me use myself as an example. Ito. I am currently in this situation, alright? Let's say, hindi pala let's say, ito yung totoo. Today, ito yung mga bagay na sa tingin ko dapat kong gawin. This is in my calendar. This is in my planner, right? But, applying the law of trade-off, again, one of the goals na kinakailangan kong ma-achieve, although this is a short-term goal, no, for the sake of example lang, I need to submit grades to the registrar. Kasi pa-finals na, no? So, kailangan ko na matapos yung grades. Kinakailangan kong gawin yung responsibilidad ko bilang teacher. How should I do that? Or what should I do? Para matapos ko na naman yung isang term, I need to do these things. Check papers, make exams, record submissions of students, and post messages to the class for the announcements. Okay? Para matapos ko yung term, which is again my short-term goal. So anong gagawin ko? Going back to my everyday list, hindi ko gagawin lahat yan. Ang gagawin ko, I'm going to undergo a task analysis. Key question, which of these things are in line with these things I want to achieve, or with these things that will move me to my goal to successfully finish another term. So, fast forward ko na, nag-task analysis na ako. Based on my task analysis, this is the result. Yan. Ito muna yung mga dapat kong unahin. The front seat. Log into Bigsky and Canvas. I need to download the student works para ma-checkan ko na. I need to draft exam items. And I need to create my class record in Excel form. Kasi sinasubmit niyan sa registrar. Okay? So, paano ko nalaman na ito yung mga dapat kong unahin? Because I underwent task analysis. These are the tasks that are in line with the goal that I want to achieve. And those words in black, yung mga walang hindi naka-red, no? Yan yung mga bagay na again, as much as I want to do, as in gusto ko talang gagawin yung mga yan, they have to take the back seat. Mamaya ko nang gagawin yan after I finish those things that I first need to prioritize. Okay? So that's the law of trade-off. Now, other things to remember in applying the law of trade-off, para lang alam nyo kung ano yung mga dapat nyo i-expect when you begin to apply this principle or this law. Number 1, trade-offs will bring or must bring growth. In the first place, kaya ka nga nagte-trade off kasi gusto mo magkaroon ng growth. And growth here is defined as any movement that moves you toward to the goal that you want to achieve. Kahit wala ka pa doon sa goal na yon, basta nagmo-move forward ka, that's already considered growth. So kapag nagte-trade off ka, mahalaga na chine-check mo rin. Ini-evaluate mo rin everyday if you are experiencing growth. Because to tell you, it's possible that you are doing trade-offs. Trade-off ka ng trade-off. Meron kang mga sinasacrifice, hindi mo ginagawa. May mga bagay kang inuuna. Pero parang napapansin mo, walang growth. You're not moving forward to the goal. Why would that be like that? Possibility, hindi tama yung mga tinitrade off mo at hindi rin tama yung mga pinaprioritize mo. In those cases, you go back to your list. You go back to the things that you need to do to make your goals happen. Baka kasi na mislabel mo lang that something must be prioritized na hindi pala. Baka all throughout akala mo nakakatulong talaga yung panonood ng Netflix to make your dreams come true. Yun pala, upon reviewing, hindi. So what do you do in that situation? You correct it, you modify it. Ilagay mo sa Netflix yung Netflix sa back seat, and then hanap ka ng task na ilalagay mo sa front seat that will move you toward your goal. Alright? So that's very important. Lagi nyo pa rin i-check kung yung trade-off nyo ba merong resulta, meron bang growth. Pag walang growth na nangyayari, trade-off ka lang ng trade-off, then maybe you are prioritizing the wrong things. Number 2, it's also very important to know that trade-offs will require lifestyle changes. It's not as easy as you think it is. Ang dali-dali sabihin, dapat i-prioritize natin tong mga to. Wag na muna natin ginagawa yung mga to. But when you apply the law of trade-off, hindi talaga maiiwasan that you will undergo lifestyle changes. Meron kang babaguhin sa sarili mo. Meron kang babaguhin sa environment mo. And as we know in psychology, every changes may tendency na stressful. Kapag gumagawa tayo ng mga bagong bagay out of old habits, there are times it will give tension to us, right? Like for example, change in time management. Kung apply mo yung law of trade-off, talagang minsan, it will require you to really change the way you use your time, which means you have to increase your time doing certain things and decrease your time doing certain things. At ang malungkot dyan, most of the time, although not all the time, alright? Most of the time, the tasks that you need to increase time on are the things you don't like to do. While those things na kinakailangan mong bawasan yung oras mo doon, yun yung mga bagay na gusto mo sanang gawin. 'Di ba? Yun, kailangan handa tayo doon, no? Talagang kapag in-apply mo yung law of trade-off, expect that the way you live your life will change. Specific example, let's say your goal is fitness. Gusto mong mas maging fit, gusto mong mag-lose ng weight, gusto mong magkaroon ng healthier body. Guess what? Okay? If you're going to achieve that goal, you need to make some trade-offs in terms of how you use your time. This time, you need to increase your time for workouts. You need to increase your time for being active, for biking, for playing sports, for being in the gym. Hindi ka naman dati ganun right? Dati-rati, minsan mo lang ginagawa yung mga bagay na yon. But again, it requires change. And you need to decrease your time doing things that make you unfit. Watching Netflix, right? Eating unhealthy food, staying at home, maghapon kang nakahiga, browsing your phone. You need to decrease your time doing those things. Babaguhin mo talaga yung routine mo. So, expect lifestyle changes when you apply the law of the trade-off. Right? Sabi nga ng isang author in connection, sabi ni Maxwell, when he talked about the law of the trade-off, the difference between where we are and where we want to be is created by the changes we are willing to make in our lives. That's very true. Right? We need to be prepared. We need to be willing to change the way we live our lives if we want to move forward to the goals that we want to achieve. Kasi kapag wala kang babaguhin, you will keep on doing the same things over and over again, hindi talaga tayo lalapit sa goal that we want to achieve for ourselves. So, law of the trade-offs will demand changes in the way you live your life, and you need to be prepared for that. Number 3, in connection to number 2, trade-offs will be emotional. Remember, there will be changes in the way you live your life. And psychologically speaking, most changes are hard for the psyche to handle. In fact, merong mga bagay na dapat kang i-expect as you make some of these changes in your life. Like, for example, withdrawal symptoms. Merong mga bagay na talagang babawasan mo yung oras mo doon, but you'll miss it along the way. Let's say, playing video games. Diba? You want to focus more on your academics, you need to trade off playing video games. You need to read more, review more. Ang kapalit nun, less time with video games. But as you experience that, Nagkakaroon ka ng withdrawal symptoms, bigla mo nami-miss yung paglalaro ng video game. Nangangati yung mga kamay mo na buksan yung computer mo at i-open yung game na dati mo laging nilalaro. Right? What else? Social pressure. Especially when you spend less time with people you used to spend a lot of your time with. Halimbawa, ang goal mo, better health. Oh, so you spent less time with your friends who smoke. Pero may pressure yan. Napapansin nila na parang hindi mo na sila sinasamahan, mamimiss ka nila. Lagi ka nilang kakumustahin. Lagi ka ngayon nilang yayayain. They will do all the ways they can para sumama ka ulit sa kanila. Now, how do you handle that pressure? That can be emotional. Diba? Minsan, kukutsain ka pa ng mga friends na yan. Oh, ganyan ka naman eh. Hindi mo na kami kaibigan. Ayan, nakaka-pressure yan. So, expect these things will happen. What else? Conflict and tension. Actually, this can be the outcome of the first two bullets, no? Kapag lagi mo nang na-experience yung withdrawal symptoms, lagi mo nang na-experience yung social pressure, hirap ka na, it will create conflict and tension, and those conflict and tension will make you ask this question, which is very crucial, by the way, kung ano ang gagawin mo. Bakit ko ba kasi ginagawa to? There you go. Bakit ko ba pinapahirapan yung sarili ko? Right? And that will tempt you to stop the changes that you've been doing and return to your old ways. Yung mga dating nasa back seat, ibabalik mo na naman sa front seat. Yung mga nasa front seat, ibabalik mo na naman sa back seat. Same old lifestyle. Hindi ka na naman gumalaw towards the goal. Kaya ang very crucial dito, class, you really need to develop the skill of sticking to the plan. How do you motivate yourself to stick to the plan? The more you stick to the plan, the better your chances are for growth. No? To tell you, sa simula lang naman mahirap yan eh. Yung withdrawal symptoms na yan, social pressure na yan, the conflict and the tension, these things are only strong at the start. But as you keep on continuing, as you become more consistent, good news, the energy or the force of these things, humihina rin. Habang nagtutuloy-tuloy ka consistently doon sa mga pagbabagong ginawa mo sa buhay mo hanggang sa one day, makikita mo na lang wala ng puwersa yung mga yan, it becomes easier for you to continue your new lifestyle. But before you get into that phase where things are now easier, you really need first to undergo this phase where it's a little bit harder. And we remember what the Bible says about this, diba? In the book of Proverbs, one of my favorite passages, do not turn to the left or to the right. Keep your foot from evil. Spiritually speaking, most of the things that we do that is turning us from the straight path, from the plans that we have, are evil things. Yun yung sumisira ng psychological life natin eh. Ang ganda-ganda na ng plano mo, 'di ba? Ang ganda-ganda na ng mga procedures mo. Very sure that you are experiencing growth because you are taking this road, pero wala kang disiplina to just stay in the path. What do? You go left and right. And what does the Bible call those areas where you go left and right and not straight? The Bible calls that evil. And as we know, the word evil is evil, right? Not good. Why is it not good? It will compromise our growth. So yan yung dapat na dinedevelop natin sa mga sarili natin as we take the road that will lead us to our goals. Kaya ito, no, don't expect immediate results. This is one of the ways on how you can motivate yourself to stay on the road. Don't expect immediate results. Most people who stop being consistent, turned left or turned right, and they have left the road, hindi na nila finalo through yung mga good changes that they did in their lives, the good trade-offs that they did with their lives, the reason why they left that road, kasi nakita ko wala naman nangyayari. Wala namang akong growth na nakikita. Pero tanungin mo, gaano katagal mo na ba in-apply yung magandang lifestyle changes mo? O sasabihin sa'yo, 3 days. Usually, good changes in our lives, positive changes in our lives, will only be visible after a certain amount of time. Hindi natin makikita yan overnight or even a week. No? Sometimes yung mga good effects that we do out of a lifestyle change, nakikita natin yan years after. And we have to be patient enough to wait for those times and see that, hey, I am growing, I need to stay on this road. Kaya this is very dangerous, this is very crucial. No, once you realize na parang wala namang nangyayari, ang lakas ng puwersa niyan para i-tempt ka to leave the road that you are taking. Right? So that's one of the things that you need to avoid. Don't expect immediate results. Expect results will be observed after a certain amount of time. Malayo pa bago mo yan makita. But once na makita mo, the feeling is so great and the outcome will be so good. Number 2, learn to reject immediate gratification. That's another way on how you motivate yourself to stay on the road. Isa na namang sa reasons yan why are people living the lifestyle na maganda na sana right? Because they were tempted to experience immediate gratification. Yung mga immediate gratifications na yan, nasa left or right yan di ba? Yung straight na nga yung lakad mo, okay na yung mga trade off mo, ang ganda na ng landas mo, you are now growing, biglang boom, something on the left is getting your attention, and mukhang masarap gawin, and so ginawa mo, before you know it, umalis ka na doon sa road. And worse, that something, that immediate gratification has consequences that you need to deal with. And the time that you will use to deal with that consequence, for example, may take long. So, hindi ka na it will take time pa bago ka makabalik na naman doon sa straight road na tinatahak mo na dati. So, it takes time na naman before you experience success. Diba? Like for example, premarital sex. Right? Many students are like that. No? Okay na sana yung plano nila. Ang goal nila is to graduate. So, they do all the things that will enable them to graduate until there's sexual temptation, and then they entertain the sexual temptation, they had sex with someone, and then may consequence na nangyari, they have to be a parent, and that takes time. It will require from you time and effort and resources to be a young parent. So ang mangyayari ngayon dyan, magtatagal muna siya doon. Right? So yung goal niya, yung road niya to graduate, hindi niya muna maaasikaso. It will now delay big time the goal that he or she wants to achieve. Or worse, baka hindi na nga mangyari ever in the person's life. Kaya again, we really have to develop that skill to stay on the straight road. And how do you do that? Ito nga, yung sinabi ko sa inyo, you don't expect immediate results and you learn how to reject immediate gratification. I think one good example of number 2 pala, no, yung immediate gratification is Esau in the Bible. Diba? Ang laki ng nawala kay Esau because he wanted to satisfy himself. Gutom na gutom siya. He came from work, and then Jacob nagluto ng soup. Sabi ni Jacob, if you want this soup, ipagpalit mo yung birthright mo for this soup para magkaroon ka ng physical relief, para mabusog ka. And Esau did. Immediate gratification. Binusog niya yung sarili niya, pinagpalit niya yung birthright niya. Right? Number 4, some things should not be traded off. Ang tawag natin dyan, sabi ni John Maxwell, the non-negotiables. Life is all about trade-offs, but there are certain things in life, non-negotiable, you should not trade for that something for anything. Like what? Ano ba yung mga bagay na hindi dapat tinitrade for anything? Ako, this is my personal list, no? In my case, ayan, the following. Kahit ano pa yung kapalit niyan, pera man yan, better career, or I will gain something, whatever, if it will demand my spiritual life, if I will be trading off my peace of mind, if it will trade off my mental health, my family time, my health, my answer is no way. Hindi na baling hindi ko na lang makuha yan. Basta hindi ko lang i-trade off yung mga yan. So, that's another very important idea, no, na kailangan meron kang mga things na talagang hindi mo ipagpapalit. Many people, the reason why they have unhappy lives, it's because they have traded off these things for something else. Again, iba-iba naman tayo ng idea kung ano yung non-negotiable, right? Oo. Pero oras na i-trade off mo yung something na non-negotiable sa'yo for another thing, that's not good. It will compromise the quality of your life. It will compromise the state of your mind. It will compromise the state of your emotions. Hindi worth it yun. Doon pa lang hindi na worth it yun eh. 'Di ba? Yung wala ka ng peace of mind, ang layo na ng relationship mo from God. For what? For something worldly? 'Di ba? Kaya another important thing here, no? You have to set for yourself. Be clear about this. What are the things in my life non-negotiable? I will not trade this off for anything. Kahit gaano pa kaganda yan, kinakailangan alam nyo kung ano yung mga bagay na yon. No, again, I just go back to Iso. Yan ang naging problema ni Iso eh. 'Di ba? Hindi siya decidido na yung kanyang birthright non-negotiable. And because he was not that decided, he was easily swayed. Right? He easily went to the left. He easily went to the right and get that soup na niluto ng kapatid niya. And that caused a lot of bad things, bad changes in his life. Nawala tuloy yung blessing sa kanya na dapat galing sa tatay nila because he traded for his birthright, which is supposed to be a non-negotiable. So mag-develop kayo ng mga non-negotiables nyo, no? Before you apply the law of trade-off. That's one of the worst things can happen to you. No, you trade off one of your non-negotiables for something temporal in this world. So anyway, in closing, the following are the action plans na pwede nyong gawin to improve the quality of your life according to the law of the trade-offs. Number 1, again, what are the things we can learn? Don't do everything. You only do some things. And those some things that you do are the things that will move you forward to your long-term goal. Number 2, you match the required task to the current tasks. Alright? So yun yung tinuro ko kanina, yung task analysis, no? Yung mga gagawin mo ba today may kinalaman sa mga tasks that will move you towards your goal. Number 3, draw the boundary what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable. Sorry, typo. Dapat ito non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Hindi pwedeng hindi malinaw yan. May mga bagay na talagang kahit gaano pa kaganda yan, don't trade these things. And number 4, a very important skill to apply if you're going to do the law of the trade-off is you stick to the plan. Don't go left, don't go right. And I have taught you 2 ways on how to motivate yourself to stick to the original plan. Alright? If you have any questions about the law of the trade-off, just post a comment below. And I hope na meron kayong natutunang maganda from this chapter on Maxwell's book. Thank you everyone for listening. Until next time, God bless. Sir Howard here. Bye-bye.